I've been an Apple user for pretty much all of my adult life. I think I had my first Mac in 1992. It was the first computer I ever had. Several times over that time, I've tried to quit them. I've documented it here on this channel. But as many people in the comments have pointed out to me, I always come crawling back. Why? I'm sure if you're an Apple sheep, you felt the same way. Apple is one of the most powerful, profitable, influential companies in the world. I mean, $3 trillion or something like that in market cap. Who's to argue with that kind of success? But they frustrate the hell out of us. Let's be honest. Apple products are often restricted, overpriced, and sometimes even their policies can be anti-consumer. But people still swear by them, buy them by the truckloads. Why? Today's video, people, is brought to you by me and the channel. And as I speak, only a fraction of my viewers are subscribed to the channel. Subscribing and liking the videos really helps get the YouTube gods to look favorably upon the channel and push the videos so that other people will see them. So if you aren't subscribed and you watch videos, then maybe you could hit that subscribe button if you enjoy this one, or if you just feel it in your heart to do so. If you are subscribed, thanks so much for doing so. And if you want to do something for the channel, a like and a share can go a long way too. Now, back to the story. Let's break down the 5 biggest reasons why people hate Apple, including many Apple devotees. I mean, it's a dysfunctional relationship for me, maybe for you as well. And in the end, we'll examine why we can't quit them. I can't quit you, Apple. Number 1, the walled garden, the beautiful prison, the golden handcuffs, the gift that keeps on giving and taking. Apple's ecosystem creates a dependence. Every Apple product works seamlessly with one another: iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple Watch, AirPods, all those things. And then features like AirDrop and iMessage and Handoff and iCloud and continuity. Once you get into all that stuff, it makes switching to another brand and breaking the cycle just really incredibly difficult. And now that Apple makes a lot of their money on services like the Apple One services, iCloud, Apple Music, Apple TV, Fitness Plus, Apple Arcade, News, all that stuff, it keeps you locked in once you get in there. Steve Jobs always envisioned Apple as like a tightly integrated hardware, software kind of thing. That's why when Apple tried to outsource manufacturing and sell their operating system, the results were almost catastrophic for the company, because Apple is a vertically integrated company where they control the software and the hardware, and all of them work much better together. That was the idea from the get-go. If you've tried to switch to an Android phone or tried to go to a PC for your computing work or anything like that, then you know the feeling of just saying, why can't I AirDrop this? And yes, you can do many of those things. You can cobble together different pieces of software, different features, and that kind of thing, and do a lot of that. And it's gotten better over the years with other devices. It can be done, but the average person is going to struggle. I know, because I have people asking me all the time, like, how do I do this? Hey, can I do this if I buy this or whatever? And usually the answer is, it won't be as easy as it is with your Apple devices. Apple's business model isn't just about selling devices. It's about building that ecosystem. And once they've got you by the short ones, they don't want to let you go. It's painful, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of rejiggering and reworking things to just do it. And oftentimes people just don't succeed. Reason number 2, they call it the Apple tax. Apple's prices versus competition are often way out of line, especially when you start to think about not just the base models of things, but upgrading to more storage or more RAM or more this or more. MacBook Pros versus similarly spec'd Windows laptops are often much more expensive until you get into the very high end of Windows laptops. And often, especially these days, let's say the M4 Macs that have just come out, they are fantastic machines. They run rings around a lot of the competition. However, you get base storage of 256 gigabytes. And that's really, honestly, not enough unless you really want to live working around that restriction. And so if you want to upgrade to, say, a 1 terabyte SSD, which would be more comfortable and probably would last you longer without as much headache, you're talking another $400 on top of what you've already paid. So that $599 Mac Mini becomes a $1,000 Mac Mini. And then if you, then another $200 if you want to go up to 32 gigabytes. You get what I mean? And then Apple's got the accessories. The keyboards, they're expensive. The Magic Mouse, more expensive. I mean, $350 for the iPad Pro Magic Keyboard, even though it's very nice, is an incredible amount of money. Then you've got the Apple polishing cloth, which I do own one. I even reviewed it here on the channel. $19 for a polishing cloth. The Mac Pro in 2019 came out with $699 wheels, 4 wheels for $699. The Pro Display XDR came just as the screen, and the stand for the screen was an additional $1,000. And no one can forget the Vision Pro at a base price of $3,500. Apple justifies this by claiming they've got better optimization and premium materials and longevity of support, and all of those things are actually true. However, Apple is also really good at marketing their new stuff. So many users replace their devices every 3 to 5 years anyway, if not every year. The only way to make Apple devices make sense for the money that you put out for them is if you buy them and you use them for 5, 7, 10 years, and very few people do that. Apple isn't selling you hardware. They're selling you an experience, and they've convinced people to pay top dollar for it. They get you in, and they don't want to let you out. Number 3, anti-upgradability, anti-repair, planned obsolescence. Ultimately, you don't really own your Apple device. Now, Apple versus right to repair is something that people have talked about for quite a while, and Apple has actively fought individual independent repair for quite some time. They used proprietary hex screws. They have software and hardware locks that are tripped if you try and use third-party materials. They do have a self-repair program now, but the self-repair program itself is very expensive. The historical context here, there are many examples, but we can go back to 2017 with Batterygate, where Apple was caught slowing down their older phones, and they said it was to save battery life for those older phones with the more demanding operating systems. But that really didn't wash for me, and I know it didn't wash for a lot of other people. iPads and MacBooks, I mean, forget it. Everything is non-upgradable these days. And pads, MacBooks, iMac, the last upgradable computer that Apple put out was the 2020 iMac 27-inch, where you could upgrade the RAM yourself. And that allowed you to get a lot of RAM in a pretty powerful machine for not as much money. So that was good. But since 2020, nothing is upgradable. And that really honestly makes the products somewhat disposable. Unless you buy and pay for exactly what you think you might need right at the point of purchase, then you just kind of have to hope that you can make it work. And that kind of friction is what gets people to go back and buy the next thing. Number 4, Apple and their features. Well, they're always just a little bit late. And even though they're late, they have the gall to say that they invented some things that they didn't invent, or they have an innovation. Apple's pattern of being late to the game, well, let's just take a few examples. Always on display. Apple had it in 2022. Android got it in 2010. Widgets on a phone screen, Android had them in 2008. Apple brought them to us in 2020. USB-C, 2023. I think Android had them, I don't even know, like many, many years before. And Apple only really upgraded to USB-C, not because it was a better connector with faster throughput, et cetera, et cetera. They embraced those things once they had to upgrade and bring USB-C to the table because the EU said they couldn't sell their stuff there unless they did. So why does Apple get away with claiming that they built something or made something or innovated something? There are times when Apple has taken a feature and made it work within their system a lot better than it worked perhaps with the other systems that already had it. But honestly, Apple is just so good at marketing. They're so good at marketing, and not many people really know the difference between one thing or the other. Apple, they call it Apple Intelligence as instead of AI, right? And since the iPhone 16s came out, they've been pushing Apple Intelligence every commercial, everywhere. And then what's come to the phone in the first 4, 5, 6 months that the phone's been out have been some really janky features that no one really wanted anyway. And what might have been useful isn't quite fully baked yet. Siri is still stupid and will likely be for a while, because they just announced last week that it's going to take them longer than expected to bring out the promised features of Apple Intelligence. Meanwhile, Android devices have had AI for several product cycles before Apple even got there, and they've been improving those features for several years. And right now, Apple Intelligence, like the Vision Pro and other things, pretty useless. Apple's real innovation isn't hardware, isn't software. It might have been at some time, but in 2025, Apple's real strength is marketing and control. They redefine the narrative so people believe they invented features that they actually innovated. Reason number 5, we buy it anyway. The power of brand loyalty. Now, there are psychological things at work here that make us do this. And Apple, more than any other tech company out there, has done an incredible job of creating their tribe. Okay, so there's a book called Primal Branding, and it has 5 different areas where a company needs to develop in order to get people to live and die by that product. They have to have a compelling origin story, et cetera, et cetera. And Apple has done this better than any tech company. Companies like Nike do this very well. Companies like Tesla have done it very well, unfortunately. And Apple has always spent the best and a huge amount of effort on marketing. Think all the way back to the 1984 Super Bowl ad where Apple, the woman threw the thing through the screen, and Apple was going to come and tear us away from the beige boxes and give us something that made us all individuals once again. The Think Different campaign. Some of these things are comical now that Apple is what it is, but still there's the cool factor. Apple's iPhones feel really good in the hand, ladies, no matter what flaws they might have. And in some cases, there's the FOMO, there's the peer pressure, there's the green bubbles versus the blue bubbles. There's, it used to be Beats, but now it's AirPods that the kids have to have. Not to mention the ecosystem lock-in and the social perception of what it means to carry Apple products and what it means to not carry Apple products. This psychology goes all the way down through everything like the Apple stores. You go into the Apple store, there's no cash registers, there's no pushy salesman. It is a very premium kind of boutique-like experience, and it gives you the perception that you're having a high-end experience. And maybe you are, but if you go into a boutique and you buy something and you carry it out, there is that sense, we all have it, of achieving a level of status. Apple makes you feel like you're the king of the world. That's part of their marketing strategy. Meanwhile, Samsung has some stores, but not very many, and the experience is not the same. Samsung, Google, others, they focus on specs and power and things that appeal to a smaller number of consumers. And so Apple, because they're trying to appeal to the bigger mass market and their emotions, ends up winning the day. And we keep on coming back. Apple preys on our most base human emotions, our very deep-seated need for status. They sell it to us, and then they keep us locked in it. And that's just how it is. So let's recap. Okay, the walled garden keeps us trapped. The pricing is often very crazy. Repairs and upgrades and that kind of thing border on or go over the border of anti-consumerism. They copy things from companies and then they claim it for themselves and call it innovation. But we still go buy the Apple products because they are good and Apple is really good at selling them to us. Do you think that the Apple ecosystem is worth the price? Is the juice worth the squeeze? Or have we all been somewhat brainwashed by Apple to continue to salivate over each new product, regardless of whether or not it's actually innovative or not? What's the most frustrating thing about the Apple ecosystem for you? Let's have a boisterous discussion down in the comments. Tell me what you think, people. And thanks so much for being here. If you made it this far and haven't hit the subscribe button, please do. And stay tuned for more. If you like this video, then go check out this one over here. Is it over here? Go check out this one over here because it might be something that you like as well. Until the next time, I'm out.